right, listen up, folks, because I have the ultimate tag team partner for breaking bad habits in this new year. Fume. This is not a vape, make no mistake. This is a flavored air device, and it's a game changer for bad habits. Fume draws flavor to your mouth, not to your lungs. No nicotine, no vapor, no batteries. Think herbal tea instead of soda. Fume is clean, natural, and 100% guilt-free. Now let's talk about design. Because Fume is not just about flavor, it's a fidget tool as well. Magnetic snaps, satisfying clicks. It keeps your hands busy and your mind calm. Fume is perfect for using energy or beating that bad habit that's been hanging around a little too long. My favorite is Crisp Mint. It's refreshing, it smells nice, and it's got no toxic side effects. And with Fume, guys, you can use it anywhere. No smell, no color, no side-eye coming from a stranger. Fume has helped over 300,000 people already form better habits. I want you to be next. Go to tryfume.com/Chael. That's tryfum.com/Chael, like the famous gangster. Use my code Chael to get a free Fume topper with your journey pack. Stop losing to bad habits. Start winning. Try Fume. Dana White says he will explore other options if they can't make Jones versus Aspinall. Okay. Did you need to ask him that? Did somebody ask him that question? All I saw was his response, where he did in fact say what I just said. He will explore other options if he cannot get Jones and Aspinall done. Okay. What else would you do if you can't get it right? I mean, it was a weird thing for them to make him to say, but I want you guys to know, if you saw this headline, at no point in the context of that discussion was there a belief or a worry or a concern or even a mention that he can't get that fight done. There is a massive misconception going on in our industry that Jon Jones won't fight Tom Aspinall. First off, we have never been told that. And Jon himself is the one that started it. That's true. I watched the post-fight press conference. I heard him talk about the FU money. I understand that. But Jon in that moment has the right to do whatever he wants, not to mention he's high. I mean, he's high on life. He won this fight. He beat Stipe like... Jon gets worked up like anybody. He gets relieved. He gets to celebrate like anybody. I mean, there is something known as adrenaline. So you don't box him in on this situation. And then because we, the audience, have not been told any information, we, the audience, have decided that Jones and Aspinall is meeting resistance. Oh, and by the way, that it's all on Jones. Guys, that could be true, but you don't know it. So if you're reading headlines like this, first, you're getting thrown off. I don't believe it. I do not believe it. I do not believe Jon's phone has rang yet with specific, here's the date, here's the plan. I don't believe that's happened. I will go further. When that day comes where Jon Jones is, here's what we want to do, I believe he will say yes. I'm just letting you know. I do not buy, and I had to live through it, guys. It was Jon Jones versus Stipe 2 Novembers ago. 2 Novembers ago, the fight that fell through. And Sergey Pavlich was the backup fighter. But everything that you're saying right now about Tom, at that time you were saying about Pavlich. And you didn't get on Pavlich until you came off of Francis. Right? It was one of these moving... But Jon agreed to fight Sergey Pavlich. So did Stipe. Sergey was the backup fighter, and everyone knew it. Now, when that fight fell apart, they ended up moving that fight, and that's where you brought in Sergey and Tom. And Tom was just the next guy that's going to get knocked out by Sergey, except he didn't. So Tom takes that spot. And I'm just sharing, it's the same thing that you said about Sergey, but Jon accepted that fight. And it's the same thing that many people to this day say about Jon and Francis, but that is fiction. Jon never turned down a fight with Francis. In fact, it was quite the opposite. Jon gave a belt back, moved into the division, tried to put on some size because he was hunting down Francis. That's just the way it happened. We got to tell the story the way that it happened. And when the media member who's not wrong, by the way, but I do feel he was a fan and he is misled. Jon Jones has not spoke to us since the post-fight press conference where he said, I want FU money. You don't know if he changed his mind, realized he's already getting it, did get it. I mean, we don't have any information. And so now there's just a belief that that fight has been offered. There's a belief that it's being resisted. There's a belief that it's been offered and being resisted by Jon, but we don't have that evidence. And there's just not a lot of times in UFC history where Dana would let that ride. One guy ever has gotten a pass for pulling out of fights, for not doing it, for being mysterious. One guy ever, and it was McGregor. International Fight Weekend of last year. Nobody knows to this day if Conor pulled out because he was in rehab, changed his mind, wasn't in shape, or in fact was worried about a discolored pinky toe that may or may not be his. Like, nobody actually knows. But he did get a pass. That's true. He did not get called out. That's why we don't know. There was never a back and forth in the media. There was never a bad word said by Conor about Dana or Dana about Conor. And that was a little bit of a mystery. That's not generally how the great fight promoter goes on and starts to promote fights. And we are seeing it here. And I don't think this is a new trend. I don't believe that fight's being held up. I don't believe that Jon Jones has said no. I don't believe that Jon Jones has officially been offered that fight. And as we start to get through the first quarter of 2025, that will change. International Fight Weekend be a perfect weekend to host that fight. But if they're going back to Madison Square Garden this November, the same as they did last November and then November before that, if they're doing that, it would also make sense to bring out Jones, who just headlined, and Aspinall, who just headlined. I mean, it would make a level of sense. So what the date is and what the venue is the most relevant thing to when the phone call gets placed and negotiation begins. And if you know something I don't, by all means, share. But I only say that to be condescending. There's no way that you know something that I don't.